Walt Disney, because he created Mickey Mouse.
And who we got? We got Joe with Felix.
Oh, hey, Dick, you know something funny about these color pairings here?
Yeah, I haven't seen him.
Yeah, haven't seen either. And we have. So, ladies and gentlemen, Ruby is not dead. The rumors of its demise. Allegedly, the rumors of its demise are greatly exaggerated. Here we have a Ruby Amethyst deck in play here. Not only is it being played, but it's winning. I gotta figure out
Felix.
Felix here, taking it 2-0 so far. So we're going to get to see something we haven't seen for a while, at least for a few months here. Now, there's various versions of this deck. I have seen like this damage counter. They call it Flinger Dinger. I can't even.
Well, a dinger is a home run.
Okay.
So we're flinging baseballs right across the battlefield.
There you go. Baseballs, damage counters.
If you think about that middle space as the home run wall, it makes sense.
That's fair. Quote unquote Flinger Dinger, this damage counters moving matters deck. We've seen that quite a bit. And over on the other side, this is a color pairing that we've known for a while now. Now we've seen various versions of this. Churn of Dogs was a very popular one, but you don't have to go the dog route. You can just go like the tempo control route. But one thing that we know is probably in there is Under the Sea. So it'll be interesting to see which variant both of these players are playing. And this is a matchup. How many of this matchup do you think has been played in this meta so far, period?
Ever, including all play testing with teams and stuff, I would say, I don't know, 5 games.
There we go. 5, yeah. We have Jeebus over here in production saying, like, holding up a big 0. That no player's been like, you know what, I got to prioritize playing against Ruby Amethyst in this.
Yeah, so we got Churn of Dogs minus Churn of Bog, as Willoughby's likes to say. I also am not, I'm not a huge fan of the Under the Sea in this deck. I don't know about you.
I do have to, before I do talk about Under the Sea, I do have to shout out one thing because I love this fact. Richard Kenobi in the chat saying Leonardo G. is one of the best. Leonardo G. Lorcana artist is responsible for about 5% of all Lorcana cards in existence. Sorry,
That's
back
a lot.
over to you.
That's an absolute ton. And we're leading off with a Curse Merfolk here. So immediately letting our opponent know what flavor we are, because there is a couple of Emerald Amber decks, right? There's the Circle of Life variants and stuff like that. But Curse Merfolk kind of narrows it down to exactly one, and that's I'm going to win the game as fast as possible. Good luck.
This is the aggro variant.
Wow,
Tramp,
beautiful.
Little shiny Tramp. We're going to see some shiny cards here. I see a couple in hand there.
With
and that is the Yzma.
Yeah, so draw a card, discard a card. It's Bobby. Except it costs 1 more and only has 1 more power, so significantly weaker than Bobby. But 2/2, oftentimes very relevant. And then, of course, discarding the Lilo, which is perfectly lined up to, if he wants to, he can return the Lilo at the beginning of his next turn.
And this is the Glimmer foil variant, they call it, from the collector set.
Oh, I love this.
Oh, and Lumiere coming down,
sneaky.
augmenting strength. Go ahead, Dick, I'm sorry.
No, I absolutely love sneaky Madame Mim Skater, Lumiere type effects that your opponents are just not banking on. You're like, wow, you play a Diablo? Guess I'm getting 4 lore. No, you're not. Sorry, I stuttered for a second because I saw a White Rabbit's Pocket Watch. For one, I wish I saw it yesterday. I had my own White Rabbit's Pocket Watch on me. But for 2, I haven't seen that in a year and a half.
Yep, that is set 1 all over again. A lot of people saying, why did they reprint this in this set? Well, here it is in the Pro Play Summit in competitive play, and it's 2-0. There's a Lilo coming into play there, getting played for free off that Lady on turn 3. This deck now going a little wide. 5 lore on the board here.
So the Pocket Watch is, of course, in there for things like Maui Shark. However, I actually prefer Break Free because the Pocket Watch, they can see coming. You're still going to need 7 ink. Not only that, when you're flinging those dingers, you like to have surprise dingers, right? So just deal 1 damage to something of yours and give it rush that your opponent doesn't see coming whatsoever. And if you have, like, say, a 2-drop Queen of Hearts or a 1-drop Card Soldiers, you can have nothing in play, go Card Soldiers, Break Free Card Soldiers, and you can banish a Daisy, which is just absolutely shocking in this metagame. I also love this Madame Medusa. I know I'm taking up all the airtime. I'm so sorry. This was the very first deck that I thought was going to be Tier 1, and, I'm wrong sometimes.
It might be. It's been Tier 1 this whole time.
Now that we know the metagame, right?
Yeah, it's true. It could take it down. This Madame Medusa comes into play. When she comes into play, deal damage to another chosen character of yours to return a chosen character cost 2 less to their player's hand.
That could be your own character as well.
Could be your own character as well.
Yeah, but perfectly lines up with the Queen of Hearts, the 2-cost 1/4.
And here we see another Diablo coming into play. Maui Half Shark going into the Inkwell there, so we know that's there. And there's another Madame Medusa here, dealing 2 damage to that Diablo to return that Lilo Escape Artist to Joe's hand. Going to have to play that again. Now, here, Joe wants to win this game fast, I think. Inevitability is probably with the Ruby Amethyst deck in this matchup. And Felix here using several cards just to slow him down, keep that board a little bit under control while establishing his own board.
Something I might have returned is the 1-cost lady because it's a shift target. Not ended up mattering this time because he's using all of his ink for this tramp. But you really love to see your opponent shift their lady onto their 3-drop lady, because then they invested 6 ink into it, and it did not increase the amount of lore that they had in play. Whereas if they shift onto the 1-drop lady, you think, oh, it's a 0/3, I'll deal with it eventually, and then all of a sudden, it essentially drew you 2 cards, banished one of your characters, and can now always quest for 2.
Now, I don't know if we can call this a Churna Dogs deck. We lost the Churna, so it's just a Dogs deck, but it has a lot of those pieces. The Churna Dogs, when you talk to the creator of the deck, SSG Ghosty, is the key to this deck is the Street Smart Dog. This deck can do some crazy combos with a Street Smart Dog that allow you to string a number of them together as you build up your board. It also allows you to dump cards into your discard pile that you can bring back later, either escaping them with Lilo Escape Artist, or there's other cards that can recur cards out of your discard pile. So that deck is built around this card, and it is one of the keys, I think, for any deck running it. You want to find that early in the game, or at least in the early mid-game. Finding it here, I think, is really important for Joe if he wants to win this game.
I actually think one of the most important parts of this tramp now that you don't have Turtlebog is that we're running the shift tramp. We need to get one of our tramps into play early because a 2/8, I basically treat it as an item. It's a 2/8, it quests for 2, it normally costs 6, but it shifts for 4. And whenever one of your characters is banished on an opposing turn, you may draw a card. And that is one of those things that kind of lets you freely quest with everything. Most of the games I lose with the Turnadogs, or well, the Turnadogs deck, is when I don't have that shift tramp.
Yeah, it's one of those like big combos you can set up with this deck where, to your point, you shift that, you go wide, you shift that into play, and then quest out, push your lore total, and your opponent ends up in a really awkward spot. Where, especially in this meta, where we've lost things like Mana Medusa Brawl, cards that can clear off that ready character to allow you then to challenge into those exerted characters. It's a fun line, and I'd love to see it played here. It's a good point.
That Lumiere also causing all sorts of problems because we are going to shift this lady, and we can't just freely eat the Madame Medusa unless, we forget the Lumiere is there and we do a trade that's not very advantageous for us.
Yeah, when we talked about recurring cards, this lady, when she comes into play, will allow you to pick up a couple cards out of your discard pile, so seeing some benefit there from the discard off that tramp. Lady and Tramp designed to work well together. Who would have thought?
I know. I can't believe Ghostly even thought of this deck. Who would have thought to put all the Lady and the Tramp cards together, plus all the most effective characters in the game? He must be a genius.
Here we go. Under the Sea, off the top of the deck there.
Yeah, and with that Lumiere in play, you're also Under the Sea proofed aside from the Lumiere. So really good tech card here. We are going to Undersea just the Lumiere.
And to get that off the board, so
it goes under the deck.
Yeah,
if
we'll
we can get anyone over there
shortly, probably. All right, we'll clean that up here shortly. But yes, goes under the deck. That's not the first time that we've seen that happen this tournament. I think
right, it's just so natural. There's so few cards that do that. I Into the Unknowned a couple of characters at Ink and had to let my opponents know, yeah, that goes in the Inkwell, actually.
Yep, and there we have that
there we
cleaned
go.
up there. Good job
awesome
to judging
judges
staff
here.
getting that cleared up.
And all the production, thank you.
But to your point, like the power of that Lumiere, changing all of the math in this matchup here, spending an 8-cost card to get rid of that 1 character to then allow...
Right, and it didn't even just cost 8 ink, it cost a lot of lore because you had to exert your whole game plan. This is why I'm not a huge fan of this Under the Sea version. I understand it, but when you draw like Scrumps and Under the Sea when you're supposed to be the quester, it just feels so bad. But then if you run into, let's say, Amber Steel, you look like an absolute genius. So able to clear up a little bit. Are we going to be king? Yes, we are.
There it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would trade 2 lore at this moment just to get rid of a Yzma, but it is very helpful when you know your opponent's only game plan is quest as much as possible with absolutely everything you have. Just clean it all up. My playtest partner locally, Kent, he agrees with that fully. Me and him debate on it all the time.
Yeah, it is an interesting choice to get rid of the Yzma there, but also, I mean, if you're looking to string another Dapper Rascal, or rather Street Smart Dog into play, every single character in play gives a benefit to some of your other tramps coming in. So not just is it some presence on the board, but it also makes Street Smart Dog that much better, and then also the tramp that gets strength for each other character in play. I think that's, Enterprising Dog, so that also
Which
comes
is
to play
what
here.
is in his hand, and he's kind of just debating, do I just hold this to try to get a good trade at some point? Not looking so good against 2 evasive characters, or do I just play it out? And he's going to hold it because, of course, if he does draw the tramp that lets him draw cards and discard cards, he could discard it. There's a lot of things he could do with it. But again, not finding the 6 costs.
Look at this card off the top deck.
I love this card. I
never
absolutely love that card.
Back. And this card here, it does not let you exert characters like the Pinocchio not ready.
Right.
They have to be exerted already, drawing into a situation here where those 2 cards, they're going to sit there for a whole other turn.
Yeah, and with the rise of Tiago, I'm not even going to say his deck. Just the rise of Tiago, this card has gotten a lot more appealing because he is really championing cards with that vanish mechanic. So that card against 2 vanish characters just says draw a card, banish your whole board.
And those characters will stay exerted there. We are going to choose the Lilo now. So the discard pile comes into play exerted, put a little more pressure on.
And like I was saying earlier, when you don't find the tramp, when you don't find the shift tramp, it's so difficult to win a lot of the games that you go down to attrition like this. If you don't just go like Merfolk into Daisy Merfolk, you really need the shift tramp, I feel, more often than not. It's so important.
And we're going to get a Prince John Frady Cat off the top deck there. Well-static character, 5/5 for
Love this card
3,
too.
and we got 2 of them. The downside is, of course, when your opponent plays a character, they will take damage. But in a deck where you're oftentimes shifting damage and you care about damage on your own characters, that actually can become a benefit rather than a drawback. Moana going to do a challenge there, clean up that Lilo Center back to the discard pile, and then we are going to challenge with the Genie.
Yeah, we're gonna pump our Genie, pseudo support there. You actually get to challenge instead of questing with it, so it's the great thing about Prince John is when you get really good at trading card games, you realize there is not a single card that has ever been printed in a trading card game that has a downside. There's an upside and an upside you haven't figured out yet.
That's a good way to put it.
Thank you. I am a genius. And the upside of this is your opponent will just naturally put damage on it for you because they could always stop you from challenging their characters and not doing your damage matters stuff. But, well, if they don't play characters, they don't win the game.
That is true. Now, this Frady Cat, really good against a deck like Blurple, which is probably going to play 1 or 2 characters a turn. That clock is going to tick rather slowly. The downside in this matchup is Joe's playing lots of characters each turn, and even cards like Lady, which allow him to play multiple characters each turn. So we'll see how fast Joe can tick that clock.
You know what's interesting? I know you're the art guy, but the art on this Prince John, he is actually afraid of a Little John, I believe. And it's funny because the Little John in this set deals 2 damage to a villain, right?
That's fun. The flavor is perfect. Yeah, that does look like Little John there.
Yeah.
Little John, Duke, what's
Yeah.
his character? Duke of Chutney. Sir
Reginald.
Duke of Chutney. And 2 tramps now coming out there. Damage really ticking up on those Prince Johns. It's back over to Felix here.
And Felix needs a damage move ability right this second.
Not many cards in hand. Those Merfolk are doing work. He'd want to play both these cards if he can to challenge into those Merfolk and not have to dump anything. And it looks like
Maybe
we're going to do
Hades.
that. Big card coming here.
Oh! Most everyone's mad here. Banish a character, gain lore equal to the amount of damage that was on it, uninkable.
Wow, there it is. So not super impactful card. We are going to get a banish. We're going to get a little bit of lore. It is a really nice finisher, but doesn't do a lot of wide control. But now with no cards in hand, Felix is going to want to use those Prince Johns before they're banished this turn.
Absolutely.
Send those into that Lilo, into that Cursed Merfolk. Won't have to discard anything.
Especially because it's actually impossible for Joe not to have a character played next turn because he can return the Lilos from the discard.
Yep, absolutely. So Felix now up to 13 with that sneaky Lord gain there. I did not expect that in this deck.
Prince John is banished. There we go. Yeah, I didn't expect that either, especially because there are options that draw cards for the same amount of ink. And, draw more cards, win more games. Not only that, there's game over, which is inkable. So tons of options in that ink cost. And I thought a Hades was coming down there. Draw 2 cards, deal 2 damage to one of your characters. So a plethora of things that he could have played.
Now, he could have, correct me if I'm wrong, that is any character, right? So in a situation where those Frady Cats are sitting there with 4 damage on them, because they can soak up quite a bit, you could use it on your own character game for a lore burst, yeah?
I believe so. Maybe we can get that back on screen.
yeah, it's just not a card I was super prepared for.
Right. I think so I think the only reason I even knew what this card does is because I love Alice in Wonderland so much. Chosen character, then banish them. Yeah, absolutely. So you can kind of design it in a way, it's kind of reverse go-go, right? Where you're like, it's real easy to put damage on your own characters. Your opponent can't even prevent that a lot of the times when you're playing cards that just straight up do it, right?
Yeah,
so I love that you pointed that out.
It's almost a bummer that you had to reveal this, because this is a win condition you surprise your opponents with. They don't see this coming. It's almost a bummer that Felix had to reveal that there.
But it was such a close game.
And he really didn't have a choice if he wanted to challenge in the Merfolk. He would have had to discard it anyway. So, having to reveal that information, and now Joe can kind of play around that knowing it's coming. Production bringing up another card that has soak up a lot of damage in this meta, and then he's a great spicy target for that card, this Minnie Mouse Daring Defender with her 8 willpower.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I would love someone out there to cook something up. Maybe on JDZ's next stream, his off-meta streams, you could do most everyone's mad here deck.
Yep. Now we saw that card there, so we're gonna allow another shuffle here. It looks like mix up that Merfolk.
Makes sense.
Because we know that it's not gonna be available there. So
especially when your opponent's deck is double sleeved, I swear I do that all the time. Just accidentally knock one over because you're so used to feeling cards, right? Like I could draw 7 cards with my eyes closed right off the top, but once it gets out of the realm of what you perceive as normal, it's difficult.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see these decks here, something like a little bit different, but it's such a bummer that we're not getting to see them against one of the meta-dominant decks. I'd love to see what Felix can do against Blurple or Amethyst Steel. So it's a bummer that we're going to get to see this here, but super fun to see.
What Felix really needed was the 3-cost Mother Gothel that every time you challenge, you move things. It is kind of unbelievable what you can do with that your opponents don't realize. That messes up the combat math, the challenging math drastically. I'm not sure if it's in his deck. It is the 1/4 for 3, and I again love. Here we go. I love that a card that was basically never played is like, you're playing 4 of this now that we've rotated and the texture of the entire game has changed.
Yeah, another card that's certainly in this deck, although I don't think we saw it, is Everybody's Got a Weakness. A card
One of my
that a lot of people love. I know you love it, yeah.
Yes.
And in this deck is very, very good. Moving 1 damage counter from each damage character you haven't played to an opposing character. And as we saw in this game, I think there was a point where Felix had like 3 or 4 damage characters on his side of the board.
Yeah.
And if that card was played,
if he just top decked that into like a Mother Gothel, he wins that game.
Huge.
For sure.
So it's really interesting because Felix, this is kind of the Flinger Dinger deck with a couple different tweaks to it, but it does feel like you're kind of building up, not an engine per se, but you're building up some combos and trying to establish this wide board state that allows you to do some really, really oppressive things in the mid to late game.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons that this deck has not been very successful yet is because a lot of the cards in it, like you said, are very combo oriented and very synergy focused. And the problem is when you draw them in the wrong order, it's just so difficult to string anything very powerful together. Whereas if you look at something like Spam, Blurple, every card stands on its own. It doesn't really need another card with it for it to be good.
And we do have the Mulan playing on Felix's side of the board. It does come into play with 2 damage on it. The cost you pay for that 2/3 stat line on turn 1, followed by
the Leaning Tower of Cheese holder himself, Bobby.
Spray Cheese Kid.
Yeah, not the ideal turn 1, but it depends. You can, if you are planning on challenging that Mulan, then it's better than playing, the Cursed Merfolk or something like that. And not wanting to leave Daisy susceptible to being challenged back until you have that shift ramp like we spoke about.
Yeah, there's a couple ways you can play this. Joe could have gone the aggro route with his Merfolk, and the reason that sometimes when you're on the draw in a matchup like this, where card draw maybe is a little more limited, is because that Merfolk on turn 1, yes, you're going to lose it in a challenge, and you aren't the beatdown necessarily at the gate because you're on the draw. But when Felix is on the play and he's 1 card behind anyway, losing that an additional card to that Merfolk, if Felix is forced to go into the control role and prevent you from running ahead, actually can make a huge difference. And here, Joe, following that Bobby up with two lore characters, that Daisy Duck and the Merfolk, so threatening to start taking the the beatdown roll here.
Oh, a couple of things. One, I wouldn't mind questing with that Bobby there. If Lumiere takes it or if Mulan trades, well, Mulan trading, great. If Lumiere takes it, you can challenge his Lumiere with the Daisy Duck. And I love that there's a location in this deck. Locations have basically fallen off the map. That's a little bit of a pun because you need a map to get to some locations. And the thing is, like we spoke of, it is often difficult to get your opponent to turn their character sideways in an advantageous way for you to challenge them. One ways of doing that is to play a location.
Yeah, and especially in a deck here, which it's in other card games we call it an aristocrats deck, kind of that where you're banishing your own characters to do things, targeting your own characters, choosing your own characters to do things. You know that your characters are likely to stick around the board for a limited amount of time, especially cards like Frady Cat. If you can slide them over to the library and get a little benefit out of it, also really good.
Inking that tramp, interesting. I find that tramp so good in this matchup.
We'll play
Again, it's basically an item. They have to have Elsa, or it's so difficult to deal with. But we might just be bricked in our hand as well.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult. We do have the Under the Sea there, which is we're a little ways off from that.
Yeah, and not only that, the Under the Sea would again only get rid of a Lumiere. It's kind of insane that he won the game playing Under the Sea on just a Lumiere last game.
We may see it again here soon. All these characters now heading to the library.
Yeah, at least this time he'd also get a Diablo.
Yeah, it's just a difficult hand, I think, for Joe, and Felix set up really nicely here. Joe, without perhaps drawing a tramp, won't be able to remove that library this turn. Felix now can do all sorts of stuff. Quest with able to get cards off of the crackback. Even sending that Diablo into a challenge for 2 cards. This library sets up really nicely for him.
Yeah, it's fun. It's so funny when we had the last format when we were playing like 12 1-drops in some of the Blurple decks. I loved playing the library with Chernobog's Followers, Magic Broom, stuff like that. And now it's just really fallen off to be a completely different deck.
This is Lady Family Dog coming into play, I believe. That beautiful enchanted version. No, it's Family Dog. It is not. There's so many ladies. Decisive Dog, yeah.
And he has to be quite decisive here, deciding what he's going to discard off of this tramp that he just drew 5 cards from. Got excellent card selection. He did find a Scrump. So Scrump would be able to help fight off that Lumiere, increasing the power of certain things. Definitely the Lilos go down instantly.
Yeah, this feels like a really impactful tramp here. Let's see, but that library is just so difficult. So building the wide board state here.
Right, and not using the go-go to challenge library, being evasive. The only thing that could reasonably take it out is an Elsa, but the Elsa could also exert it anyway if he wanted to. So might have wanted to use the go-go to quest or challenge library there.
Just keeping it upright.
Yeah. I feel like so many people also forget that go-go is evasive.
Finders, Keepers into the Inkwell, and it looks like Elsa, the 5th Spirit, coming down. We're going to exert the tramp, and Elsa challenging in. And let's see if we get any other sneaky.
Yep, and then we'll do the Mulan.
There it is, Mulan coming down.
Draw
We'll trigger the library as well. And it's another Lumiere, which I don't think is terrible.
Yeah, funny enough, he might want to actually just quest with the Diablo and the other Lumiere right now, considering Joe will think, all right, I don't have to deal with that math anymore. And then all of a sudden, okay, I have to deal with that math. So the Elsa should have 2 damage on it, I believe. Yeah, and right. There's the Scrump. We could Scrump the Elsa, but not be able to sing Under the Sea as well right now. Yeah, in a pickle here.
Yeah,
that library putting pressure on. Even if it's 1 lore a turn, you also just never want your opponent to have access to random card draw that you're not really considering normally.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm quiet because I'm trying to do a lot of math here, both on ink totals and then also on strength totals, because it just feels like Joe is just a little bit short of being able to either deal with the library or sing that Under the Sea. It's just not quite there yet, but we're so close. So let's see. Okay, we are going to challenge. So it looks like we're just aligning things here.
I'm speechless. I don't know what's happening.
We're just, it looks like a quest out.
Okay.
Yep. There it is. All right, so we're pointing at stuff. It looks like we're going to quest out. I think that's 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Was he telling Felix what to do on his next turn?
That's true.
Like, hey, you're going to do this next turn.
Yeah, just don't challenge with his Diablo, please. But no, questing out there, and that's one of the ways these decks can win is build up a board state and then win in 1 or 2 turns. We are going to get a judge call here.
Oh, yeah, nice. Scrump. I always thought Scrump had to exert. Thank you again, production. Thank you so much for putting that up on the screen. I was thinking that you had to exert Scrump and the character. So that's awesome. So the chosen character gets -2 power until the start of your next turn.
So are you saying the issue here is probably he chose to reduce the power level using Scrump and then just didn't exert it? And is that the...
No, I didn't realize he was using Scrump.
Yeah.
That wasn't a full quest out.
Yeah.
That's all. I just want the people at home, especially if they're only listening and half paying attention to the screen, to realize no, he didn't just quest out and then not put the lore up there. So you can just use Scrump as many times as you want. You exert one of your characters and give a character -2 power until the start of the next turn.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Cool. So stacking it up. There we go. Okay. So it was a Scrump out. It wasn't a quest out.
Right. And then
there we go.
a couple of characters quested.
Yep. So little bit of lore, but reducing. And I wish we knew how many, but I'm assuming they each got hit once.
Yeah.
Elsa maybe twice.
Yeah, I saw him point once at each of them. So.
Yeah. So we're a
assumed.
little unclear. Some of these may have been hit twice. That does matter because of Lumiere's ability on some of these cards. So. And then another Lumiere in hand. It definitely matters whether each character is hit once or twice. So we're going to be a little bit...
Oh, did you see Joe's face on that?
Yeah, I know. Just like, oh, my goodness.
He was like, come on, bud.
Right? So a little bit uncertain here about the math on these challenges because I'm just not sure how exactly everything was aligned.
Yeah, so Elsa should be able to take out Go-Go. There you go.
Okay,
so it
she was
just hit once.
Just once.
And then Diablo still can take out nothing. Lumiere could challenge that Merfolk. Might be scary that he didn't. I mean, I know he would lose the card in his hand, but you also don't want to lose the game when your opponent is questing for so much every turn.
And that Lumiere is so frustrating. We saw Joe use an Under the Sea, which he has in his hand, last game to get rid of a single Lumiere. It was that impactful on the board. Now those Lumieres protecting each other, really.
Not anymore.
And so that Under the Sea just becomes extra bad. Improvise coming down here.
I like Improvise in this deck a lot because it serves 2 purposes. It banishes any target Tiago, and then it also can pump the lady and without you playing a character, and then maybe find you another character. If he had hit another 1-drop here, that lady would be questing for 3. Since he didn't, he's going to pass the turn over.
Yeah, it just feels like Joe is so close to making the moves he needs to make. That library clicking up again. That's been around since turn 3. I think that's 3 or 4 lore off of it so far this game.
It looks like we drew a Panic. I love this card.
Oh,
I love that this card's seeing play now.
We're going to shift some damage counters over there, take out those Merfolk. Getting rid of them without having to discard a card feels really nice. And Felix here just putting just a little bit of lore pressure every turn. 1 or 2 lore, 1 off the library, a couple quests.
Yeah.
And it looks like we're going to slide other things over there.
Felix also not punished by not challenging the Cursed Merfolk. If he didn't want to lose a card last turn, he also could have challenged with the Diablo into anything. The Diablo had 0 power and just would have drew him 2 cards. And then he could have had more card selection to discard to the Cursed Merfolk. That's something we saw actually Melissa do yesterday, was challenge with her Diablo just to draw a card. All right, shifting the lady. That is the lady that you would love to shift on, the 1 cost. You effectively paid 4 ink for a 4/4 quest for 2. Draw your 2 best characters that cost 2 or less from your discard to your hand.
And Miss Park Avenue. Love the art on this card.
I know. Dogs wear hats now?
Yeah. And
That
fancy colors.
that could get you on the front page of Instagram.
And we will ink Yzma for turn and send one of those characters out. It is the Daisy Duck. 3 Daisy Ducks out there. What a foul-looking board.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he might. I don't know.
Yeah, it's trying to build
the library is kind of just like drip drying him right now. Just like, again, I I would have loved if anyone in chat can tell me how much lore the library gained.
And this should be game here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 with the library. That is it. I think.
Yeah.
Yep. And Felix here
And
counting
Felix
it out.
is saying, hey,
Gonna quest out, and we are gonna see a game
probably should
3
challenge something
in this match. Yeah, I think that Diablo was susceptible there. So Joe, I think maybe writing on the wall anyway, had a lot of lore on the board. Probably just trying to build up a board state where he could win in 1 or 2 turns, but it just felt like Joe was just 1 or 2 either ink cost or strength off from being able to actually pursue a win condition or at least control Felix's board. So yeah, just not quite clicking there. And it is unfortunate again. I'll say both of these players, clearly doing well, probably tested against the best decks in the meta.
Yeah.
Probably didn't test against each other, and so kind of awkward for them to run into each other here at this point in the tournament. But both of them having to adapt really quickly and figuring out what their other opponent's deck plan or their opponent's deck plan is. Deck plan, game plan.
Yeah.
Deck's game plan.
I'm a little surprised that Tiana is just like a 4 of in all Amber Steel decks, but not played at all in this dog deck. I do know the uninkables can be rough sometimes, rough, but maybe 1 or 2, maybe just something that you can find off of your tramp. You get to loot through a lot of your deck, right? And you get to worst case scenario. All right, I'll Bobby it away. I'll Yzma it away. I'll tramp it away. Or hey, I really need to draw that right now. I'm gonna tramp for 5. Okay, I found it. And that could be something that right there were probably 3 or 4 turns where both of them just stared at each other. You kind of need something to break serve. The library broke serve for Felix. Joe needs something to break serve in his deck as well. Which again, I'm a broken record. It could be that 6-cost tramp. If you just play that and quest with everything, you could freely quest with everything. Might have been a mistake when he inked it that game.
Looking really hard at Joe's hand here. So we've got the Merfolk for early game. There's a Clarabelle as well, and it looks like we have the early tramp there, that 1 cost, as well as the shift tramp. So looks like we're gonna keep all of those. So
yeah,
some early pressure as well as that shift line.
Hand looks great. I would also just keep any inkables, because the worst thing you want to do is try for the best hand you possibly can get, and then you draw Under the Sea, Lady, Miss Park Avenue.
Yeah, Under the Sea, just a brick in your hand. Although being able to shift tramp early, you could set up a really fun early Under the Sea.
Yes, a shocking one even. We'll see. Joe on the play. This deck, one of the most dangerous decks on the play. If I'm being honest, I would be a little. I'd be a little scared if I was Felix.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm looking for Madame Medusas, the 3 cost, so I can start bouncing and stifling some stuff from the opponent. I'm looking to open Prince John. So anything like that. Anything on 3 that's going to keep my opponent from questing is what I'm looking for. And of course, we would love to go right up the chain of 1-drop, 2-drop before we get there.
Yeah, so I see the Queen of Hearts down there.
Yeah, Queen of Hearts, phenomenal.
I also see a Hypnotic Strength for a little bit of control, but here we're opening up real quick. Daisy Duck into Merfolk. That's 4 lore on the board on turn 2. So Joe hitting the gas here. We're going to drop another 1-drop. It's probably that Tramp. Oh, no, it's Bobby.
Bobby.
Draw a card, discard a card.
Yeah, we probably wanted to play Bobby before we inked or played the Merfolk, even if that was definitely what was going to end up happening anyway, just in case.
Just get a little more information.
Yeah, on the play, I'm definitely pitching this Scrump unless I need to ink it.
And it's a Queen of Hearts off the top deck. And
he found the Medusa.
Oh,
Madame Medusa. Queen of Hearts into Madame Medusa is one of those synergies that is just borderline offensive because it's so good. You're going to play this little 1/4 Queen of Hearts. You only have a Diablo. Joe's probably thinking, he probably can't get any damage on it. And then all of a sudden, no, I'm putting damage on it. I'm bouncing your Curse Merfolk, and I'm going to challenge your Daisy, and my Queen of Hearts is going to live.
Yeah, we're going to see that combo probably in action here, probably this turn. Let's see if Joe chooses to go sideways here. He is racing.
Yeah, if he can play a little tramp into a shift tramp, maybe he doesn't turn sideways this turn. Maybe you wait until you're on 4 ink and you shift the tramp, and then you start going sideways.
Yeah, I think we also have the Street Smart Dog, which also cares about the number of characters on board. So
yeah,
also good.
Oof.
There's
yeah.
that Clarabelle.
I honestly think he needed to play the 2 costs, ink the 7 costs, and then shift the 6 costs the following turn. I think that would have like all but ended the game, honestly.
So this Clarabelle setting up here, I think wanting to get 4 characters in play, he's looking at that that tramp there. Next turn, we'll be able to play it with just 3 ink.
Yeah, but then you're playing turn 5, shift the 6 drop at best. I think that I hate to say it's a mistake. I think it was a big misstep or a missed opportunity.
Yeah. I never know what these players are thinking, what their lines are, what they see
Yeah.
body language-wise. So it's always tough to tell, but certainly that was a line that was available. Here's that Mana Medusa coming down. That synergy you talked about, Dick, dealing 2 damage to that Queen of Hearts, which loves to have damage on her, and bouncing one of Joe's cards back to hand.
Yeah, and now, you know, let's say you establish the 7 cost. What are you going to do with it? It's a 2/6. If you quest into it, it gets eaten up by the Medusa and the Queen, and, well, you could sing with it, but there's not any prime under the sea targets.
There's that tramp coming out now.
Drawing
That
4
Merfolk
cards.
again. We're going to look at 4, discard 4.
Well, that's an easy 3 right on top. And he sees it as well.
There they are. An Escape Artist now in the discard pile. That'll be available.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, usually returning an Escape Artist and immediately getting banished feels bad. Now if you have a 6-cost tramp, it's just pay 2, draw a card every turn. Not only that, it deprives your opponent of questing and puts a damage on one of their characters. So it's even better than pay 2, draw a card.
So Joe, thinking about the lines here. It's back over to Felix. Everything's still up right there. Going into turn 4 here, I do see a Genie in hand. Oh, Shark off the top deck. That'll be available later. Felix kind of thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm seeing a Lumiere. I'm seeing Hypnotic Strength. I feel like you just have to play Genie because it's uninkable. And if you don't play it on turn 4, you're playing off curve. I think the Shark really is irrelevant in this matchup. He identifies that as well.
All right, Hypnotic Strength, though, on the Diablo. Draw a card. We draw into a Mulan, Injured Soldier. And the 2-drop Lumiere coming out. Okay, so Lumiere card changes the math quite a bit. We've seen its impact on this game so far.
And Felix maybe putting a little bait out there. Like, hey, I'll just quest for 1 casually. Go ahead and challenge it if you want.
Yes, back over to Joe. Now, always worth in these decks. Let's keep an eye on the lore total there on Joe's side of the board. We have 8 in play now. And what this deck can do is just build up lore. There's another one coming down very cheap. There's 5 characters, reducing its cost by 5, able to play it for 2. And that's why this card, one of the most important cards in this deck, if not the most important. We're going to look at 5, discard 5. Another Ursula going down.
Yeah, another
Lady
example
Bobby.
of like why you could play one of a card in your deck because it's so easy to.
Oh, and another one. This is what this does.
He's
It
just going
strings
through
it together. This deck has some bonkers combos. And now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's play. Say you find another one. You can play it for free.
Yeah, for free. Free is for me.
I don't think I've ever seen 4 on the board at the same time, and I would love to see it. Nope. And okay, we're gonna quest. And Under the Sea. There it is. Now we're only gonna hit a couple cards here, the Lumiere and the Diablo. But hey, that is not bad at all. All of these cards, you know, able to have their strength buffed by other cards, and getting that Lumiere off the board feels really good. Oh, of course he draws into another one.
He would love to draw a Bell this turn.
That's true. But oh my goodness, look at that board state now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 lore on the board. So it's not game, but a well-timed go-go could put it out of reach.
Yeah, Joe able to string together so much pressure in one turn out of nowhere.
It's just a ton of willpower just got dropped out there. So now Felix thinking about it, he does have that Elsa for a little bit of rush, instant challenge, so we can do a little bit of cleanup here, but there's just so much out there now.
Yeah, Felix is definitely feeling like he's feeling lost.
Where's
he's
my be prepared?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where's
And you know what?
couldn't even play it.
Yeah, wouldn't even got to it.
Yeah. Where's my forecast be prepared?
But yeah, Queen of Hearts definitely has to go into Daisy Duck, right? It survives and clears 2 off the board, and then you have 3 damage that you can fling around. The Medusa probably has take out Curse Merfolk. Just go ahead and discard the Genie. You can then Medusa your own Medusa. I don't know.
All right, so I think we're going to see the Lumiere Medusa combo here. Let's see Lumiere coming into play, just another body there, Medusa coming down. There's that damage. Now the bounce target here, I mean, can't.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it has to be Curse Merfolk at this point, but then you're trading into Bobby. So it's a rough one.
Yeah,
and if you bounce Bobby, well, you're giving your opponent a filter or an ink, whatever they need.
Yeah, bounce removal feels so bad staring at those, you know, with these interplay abilities like those tramps. I mean, you can't send that back. So there it is. We're going to send the Merfolk back. Cheap to bring back into play, but saves you that card. And as you pointed out now, that Bobby will trade with anything that goes into it.
Yeah, specifically the Medusa. But so at that point, you just trade with Clarabelle.
Easy challenge there. And that Medusa going to clean up that Clarabelle.
Yep. Yeah, where have the Gothels been? He has Foreign in the deck. I try not to tell people that. Yeah, everyone's got weakness. So many cards that he just hasn't seen in all 3 games.
So here we go. Escape Artist coming out here. The benefit of dumping all those cards, we're going to have 2 of them come into play.
The inevitability.
This is right when you play them. Just put that a little extra pressure on. Yeah, they're exerted, but it means you're not doing other things.
I mean, you might as well just ink that lady and play a Curse Merfolk, too.
There it is.
There you go. Sometimes I know what's going to happen.
Okay, we'll move that Queen of Hearts, get that out of there, and 6 with those tramps. Pack of dogs there going on a quest. Up to 13.
Up
that
to
is
13.
Game on board. I won't say the word.
Drawing a Rafiki. Absolutely hate to see it.
Yeah, just
if you're a fan of Ruby, you're not feeling great right now.
No, I don't think we've gotten to see the full potential of this deck.
Right. Which I was saying in between games, I was like, this deck really, really relies on synergy. All of the cards, low power on their own. And we're kind of seeing that. He's just not drawing the cards that he needs, which in all 3 games, to not see cards in his deck that he has 4 copies of is actually just like kind of bonkers.
Yeah, I do think it's likely well positioned, and he's teched this deck and practiced for the longer games, the control matchups into decks like Blurple. Probably loves to play that deck, and so here where he's forced to be in the control role early and prioritize some of those cards, just not able to do what he wants to do. Does do some cleanup here. Has to discard to that Merfolk. He's now on the 1 card in hand.
Yeah, keeping the most everyone's mad here in case Joe does get 16 damage on one of his characters. Which I respect.
Yeah. Dry humor. I love it. And there he'll quest up to 19 and just right back over. And
right, so if we just draw, be prepared.
That 16 damage character.
And
no, it is a panic.
That's a panic. Yeah, I am also panicked if I'm Felix.
And just not enough. There it is. I don't know what to call it now. The Dogs deck, but the Amber Emerald deck still alive here at 3-0. Both players still alive. Definitely possible to come back from 1 loss here and win out. So there you'll have it, folks. In a Blurple heavy meta. Here's a couple decks which are doing.